Okay, I'd like to call the meeting of the Community Services Public Safety Committee to order on this Monday, April 5th at 2:40 p.m. Would you all rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Sarah, this meeting has been, public notification of this meeting has been published, posted, and distributed in compliance with the Freedom of Information Act, I take it?
Yes, sir, it has.
Thank you very much. May I have a motion to approve the agenda for this meeting?
So moved.
Thank you. I need a second.
Second.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dawson. Any discussion? Hearing none, I would like to move this along without exception. Are there any exceptions? Hearing none, the agenda has been approved. I would like a motion to approve the minutes from the March 1st meeting.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I need a second.
Second.
Thank you very much. Any discussion? Hearing none, I would like to approve this without exception. Are there any exceptions? Okay, we have some agenda items, numbers 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. The first is a presentation by the Beaufort Jasper Hampton Comprehensive Health Services concerning the organizational COVID-19 update and their vaccination efforts. Mr. Atkinson, would you please handle the introduction for that?
Yes, sir, I'll be happy to. So presenting today is Mr. Roland Gardner, and I believe Dr. McKay is on. Roland, are you here?
Yes, sir. I am. Thank you.
All right, sir, the floor is yours.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Mr. Atkinson, for your support. And I'd like to thank the council for giving us this opportunity to make this presentation. What we wanted to do today is just bring you up to date as what has occurred at Beaufort Jasper for the past 14 months with the impact and beginning of the COVID-19 program that we have put in place, and also what has happened in the county. I have with me today Dr. Faith Poquet, who is our Chief Clinical Officer. And I'll ask Dr. Poquet to make the presentation to bring some of you who are new to our company and new to the presentation. I'll ask Dr. Poquet to give you a quick summary, and then I'll come in after Dr. Poquet to just bring you the final update. Dr. Poquet.
Sure. Hey, good afternoon, everyone. I am going to share my screen so that you can see our presentation.
Come in.
There we go. All right. So, Beaufort Jasper Hampton, just a quick overview for quick overview for people who don't know a whole lot about us, but we are a federally qualified community health center. We have been in Beaufort County for over 50 years. Last year was our 50th year of operation, and we have been serving the county since then. We are located in the 3 counties, Beaufort, Jasper, and Hampton counties. We have 9 center locations and then 10 school-based health center locations. We now have 3 mobile units. One includes a dental unit, which is the Ronald McDonald unit. We also have a school-based health center unit, and then a new one that provides medical and counseling services. We provide services from birth until, so adult, peds, OBGYN, and dental services, and then other supporting services such as radiology, including mammograms, ultrasounds. We have 5 pharmacies across the 3 counties, also nutrition, behavioral health and substance abuse, as well as migrant or farm worker health programs and a WIC program. Our total operational costs to provide medical services is about $22 million. We serve over 17,000 patients and almost 100,000 annual patient visits, and have a staff of 270 employees. Here are our locations in Beaufort County. Most are familiar with Ruth P. Field Medical Center. Some people call it Chelsea Clinic. It's out in Okatee. But we also have Port Royal Medical Center. Then you'll see St. Helena Medical Center. The Elijah Washington Medical Center is in Sheldon. And then the supportive services and same-day clinic is right next door to our Port Royal location. We have additional services that we provide at Beaufort County. So DHEC has designated us as one of the regional medical providers for Ryan White, which is for people living with HIV, and then also the housing program. And we care for more than 290 people living with HIV. We also received some funding for ending the HIV epidemic, which are the prevention efforts to provide PrEP. Some people may have heard about PrEP. It's the pre-exposure prophylaxis, where people take a medication if they're high risk, and it actually prevents HIV almost 100% of the time if their partner is virally suppressed. This just tells you kind of a breakdown of our population that we serve by age. The majority are adults, but we have a significant population of children that we serve, and then elderly over the age of 65. And then by county, 68% of the people we serve live in Beaufort County. So I'll go back to this slide. In Beaufort County, we serve over 11,000 patients there. So out of those 11,000, this is what the insurance type looks like. We take every insurance. So some people, mistakenly think that we are a free clinic. We are not. We are bound by the government to provide services, but also to collect funding for the services too. However, we do receive funding to take care of people who don't have insurance, and 35% of our patients do not have any type of insurance. So we have a sliding scale fee that takes care of those patients. We are about 31% Medicaid in Beaufort County. That mostly encompasses our children, because both at our Okatee location, also Port Royal location, we see children, and then also women who are pregnant. So that's where most of our Medicaid population comes from. We do about 23% private insurance, so we take any type of insurance, and then about 9% Medicare, which that also includes Medicare HMOs. These are the visits in Beaufort County. Most of our visits are medical visits, but we also have, like I said, dental locations. So both at our St. Helena location, actually all three, St. Helena, Sheldon, and our Okatee location in Chelsea are dental providers. So we provide dental visits there. Okay, so that's our background. So what's happened this past year? As we all know, COVID came in really a lot more, I guess more of a surprise than a lot of us thought. You know, many of us in the medical community, as a physician, I thought, okay, it's going to be something like what happened with Ebola. We'll all get ready and then, it'll pass by. Well, we all know that that was not the case. March 6th, we had our all-staff meeting at the Technical College of the Low Country. And I remember giving a presentation on COVID at that time and looking around and saying, wow, this might be our last time together in this venue. And it was. We had a Sunday school senior staff meeting that Sunday and came up really with our COVID plan moving forward. On the 9th of March, we started screening people at our front doors, and that has evolved into more than just screening. We actually hired new types of staff members called greeters, who greet every person, do their temperature, do a screening, like many of the medical offices around the county. Some of that we were doing outside, and some we would do inside, but we just really had to change our model of care. South Carolina state of emergency was declared on the 13th, and then schools closed on March 16th. We know that the governor had said no more than 3 people gathering. So, this is the progression of what happened with COVID. And then there was the home or work order. It became very apparent to us that it was going to be difficult to maintain operations at 9 different locations in 3 counties, considering that we had to send more than half of our staff home. Also that the staff who were left there needed to be able to socially distance. So we made the difficult decision to consolidate our sites. So our Chelsea location, we consolidated with our Hardyville and Ridgeland sites. So they all came, the staff, patients, everybody came to Chelsea. Port Royal, we had our Sheldon and St. Helena people come there. We still had our same day location open. And then in Hampton, our Estill site came there. And at that point, we had no dental because dental was shut down across the country because it was such a high risk medical service for people to receive and for the dentist to deliver. March 24th, before the consolidation of sites, we actually did our first telehealth visit. We had done telemedicine. So MUSC, we'd had a partnership with them for years. They would provide consult services for us. So psychiatry, those types of things. But we were not, we had a little bit of telehealth in our schools. So at those 10 school-based locations, if somebody was at one site, we could provide care to a student at another school. But this was the first time where all of our providers were either on site or at home, or they were, the patient was on site or at home. We did that first visit. We told our chief technology officer to turn it on, and 2 days later, another provider was trained, and then by 2 weeks, all of our providers have been trained on telehealth. And it really provided an opportunity for us to deliver a service to patients that we hadn't before. And I'll kind of show you how this impacted us. So this was last year. So this was 2020 up till April 1st of this year. Notice our office visits were about 32,000 visits. But look at the telephone visits. So that's for people who did not have video. So we couldn't connect with them through a video conference. So we did 3,000 of those. And then our video visits, which is the telehealth visits, over 5,000 of those. Contrast that to the year before, so 2019, where we did really those video visits were test patients because we'd gotten a new EMR system. So we really didn't have any video visits at that point. And then our office visits were up to 55,000. So, going back, just looking at that contrast to what last year, the year before was. So what happened during this year? We luckily invested in Zoom at all of our sites, actually as a way to connect our Ryan White program to the different sites. Our case managers also provide information for our staff. So we had the fortune to have a way to connect with all of our sites, and that was a lifesaver. Otherwise, across these counties, we would not have been able to get the information out to our employees like we needed to. We did mass fit testing. The hospital actually provided us with help with that. Community test drive-through, which I'll show you some information on that. Started triaging patients, screening outside. We were examining patients outside. If we thought somebody had COVID, we actually still do that today. So people can call in. We'll come out and actually do a telehealth visit from the parking lot if they are at high risk. Our pharmacies all converted to drive-up pharmacies, and then the drive-up visits and telehealth. We also had some great donations for KN95 and N95 masks because that was not something that we had on site. I think we had one box of 50. And we know that we needed that type of protection for employees. We were impacted by the tornadoes in Hampton County and impacted our staff, our sites out there. We have medical students from AT Still University who are DO medical students who spend their second, third, and fourth year medical school here. Their rotations were completely stopped during that time. They've since started back up, and you guys may have seen some of them around the county, but fortunately they've started back up. We did we do a migrant farm worker night clinic every year from late May to July during the picking season. We start at 6 p.m. and go until sometimes till midnight. Well, COVID made it difficult to try to do that anymore. So we actually set up tents outside. We were triaging outside and treating people outside. Our other services, WIC, nutrition, Ryan White Behavioral Health, all went virtual. But our radiology continued. We still were doing mammograms. We still were doing x-rays and ultrasounds. So let me get to the testing events real quick. So these are the testing events that we had. And you'll note the Sheldon, St. Helena, and then Chelsea locations. We tested over 2,000 people this last summer. And you can see the percent positivity as the summer wore on. By July, it was up to a high level. At that, I believe it was at our Ridgeland event, we had some of the highest percent positivity rates, especially in our Hispanic and Latino population, that we didn't see early on. So it was really interesting there. We partnered with DHEC. DHEC provided us a lot of testing supplies. Beaufort County was great. Emergency management helped us with PPE. Sheriff's Department helped us with traffic control. Even the librarian would come out during the events and helped us with coordinating care, because at St. Helena, we had to go through that library parking lot. This is a breakdown of the testing totals. The majority of our testing was done in Beaufort County, with some in Jasper and Hampton counties. And then this is the breakdown by race and then ethnicity. 63% of the people that we tested were African-American at the time, 29% were white. Although in the total for white included a lot of our Hispanic and Latino who marked that as their race. So about 18% were Hispanic or Latino. And then the last thing we'll come to are the vaccines. We got vaccine at the end of January and initially, got 100 or 200 doses per site, not a whole lot. We have been very intentional about our outreach with our vaccines. We have been in coordination with DHEC, this whole time on supply and also events. We've had some partnerships that have helped us be targeted in our approach to make sure that vulnerable communities are getting the vaccine, including our patients, because most of our patients fall below the poverty level, or at least 200% of the poverty level. So we wanted to make sure that we got those folks were targeted, but also other members of the community that couldn't sign up through the hospital, through the VAM system, trying to sign up online, people who didn't have internet access. So we partnered with the Beaufort Ministerial Alliance, Mount Carmel Baptist Church, some of the feeding programs on St. Helena, some of the homeless organizations, to really try to reach these groups. And this is ongoing. It has taken a while. I know a lot of people really jumped out there in the beginning, but it's taken a little while for some of those communities to trust and for us to build that trust with the communities. So far, as of April 1st, we did 5,000 doses of the Moderna. We do have a small amount of Johnson & Johnson, which we use for our farm workers because we knew that they're kind of a transient population and it would be difficult to get 2 doses of Moderna there. This is what it looks like. The majority of our immunizations, first and second doses, have gone to Beaufort County, although we've had some in Jasper and Hampton County. If we look at distinct patients by county, 61%, so over 2,000 people have received vaccines in Beaufort County from us. And then if we look at the racial breakdown, 74% of those vaccinated by us were African American. And then for Hispanic and Latino, I'll show you, it actually is a small number, only 7%. That's an area that we're going to focus on because it's an area that is not being served for whatever reason. Rather it's because of people unsure of the vaccine, rather it's, we haven't communicated well enough in Spanish so that people know where to go, know how to get the vaccine, but we're definitely working on that now. And then just the last slide is just kind of the year ahead. Although we saw a lot of patients by telehealth, there were about 5,000 patients who either didn't come in or got care some other way. So we really are working on recovery of those patients and really doing outreach to get them back in to make sure we serve them this year. We're going to be doing more community outreach with our mobile unit and then expanding our vaccine sites. St. Helena is going to become a more permanent site instead of kind of special event sites. Our Sheldon location's already doing it, and then our Port Royal same day and also Chelsea locations are doing vaccines now. So we're going to expand our telehealth and do more remote patient monitoring. What the pandemic showed us is that, yes, we could do telehealth, but then we didn't have a way to know what was going on with the patient. So what's their blood pressure? What's their pulse? What's their blood sugar doing? So doing what's called remote patient monitoring, giving people devices in their homes will help us be able to monitor that better. And then we'll continue with diabetes case management. And there I'm going to stop.
Faith, on those remote monitorings, do they take their own readings and then tell you, or do you have devices set up at home?
So devices set up at home. The federal government is expecting us to set this program up. So it's actually a device that is connected to our electronic medical record. So
Right.
they just take their blood pressure and then it's beamed back to our system.
Great. Well, thank you. That was a very comprehensive and overview, and thank you very much for all the work that you're doing. I know that you will be, or someone will be coming from the health services to the next finance meeting to talk about supplemental funding and perhaps the funding requests for 2022. And then you also have a scheduled briefing for us at the full council, I believe, on May 24th. So we'll look forward to that. Does anyone have any questions or comments or observations at the moment after that excellent briefing?
Mr. Chairman, this is York. I just want to thank Mr. Gardner and Dr. Poquet for an excellent comprehensive presentation in which basically show how much of an impact they are in certain community, which is vital to our overall community. So just want to say thank you, Mr. Gardner and Dr. Poquet, for your effort at the Beaufort Jasper Hampton Comprehensive Health. Thank you.
So let me just add, I'll be remiss if I didn't say anything about Ms. Gloria Warner, who's with us. She's the logistical person. She's our Chief Operations Officer. So she is joined by, it's her team that is doing a lot of the outreach, setting those things up. So, you know, Dr. Pokey has been the person on the ground with her staff, but Ms. Warner and the other staff's been out. So, but I want to thank Charles, actually keep me going, just keep me up to date on everything, get things back to you guys. And we hope to see, we'll see you in a couple of weeks or a month or so, I think, without the presentation. We will continue to work with whatever comes up with the state or even with the federal government and keep you posted what's happening with us at Beaufort Jasper.
Okay, well, thank you very much. And York, thank you very much for making the suggestion that we have this briefing and for assisting us in arranging it. Thanks very much. I appreciate that. Okay, in the absence of any further comments, observations, or questions, I would like to move on to item number 7.
Thank you.
A EMS departmental update for calendar year 2020. Colonel Foote, will you be introducing that for us?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, and thank you, Chairman McKellen, for allowing us to provide these updates of each one of the departments in the Public Safety Division. Similar to what Tallulah Trice did in last month's meeting, today we have the EMS Emergency Medical Services update, and Donna Owenby, the director, will be presenting that for us today. We have a short video. We'd like to show what a lot of the funding gets used towards, a lot of the equipment that we have that provides the excellent service that we provide to all the citizens out there in Beaufort County and to all our visitors that come here. So we'd like to show the video clip. It's about 10 minutes and shows a lot of the equipment that we use. And then Director Owenby will be coming on and finishing up with a few statistics and any questions and answers you may have.
Okay, thank you. Sarah,
There's no voice.
I'm not hearing anything.
Hang on, sorry, Brenna's playing it and I'm trying to find the setting to see what could be wrong with it. I'm gonna try it for mine. I'll share it right now. If you want to move forward, we'll try to figure this out. For some reason, it's not, the audio is not coming through, but it's open on our end. If you want to continue with the agenda, then we can come back to this.
I'm going to hand it back to you, Phil, and ask you what you'd like to do here. Do you want me to go to item number 8 and then schedule you after item 11 so you can get this organized?
If you don't mind, sir.
That's fine.
Work on the technology here.
Yeah, listen, I know, listen, I know, I'm perfectly okay. We'll move on to item number 8, which is a discussion to provide an update on DSN early intervention program activities. Mr. Atkinson, is that you?
Yes, sir. Making this presentation today will be our DSN director, Mr. Bill Love, and our DSN Human Services Manager, Cherie Scoggins. So Bill and Cherie, if you're here, you have the floor.
Yes, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
We can. I'd like to welcome you, Bill. Nice to see you again. Thank you very much.
Nice to see you guys as well. You know, I was listening to the first part of the session here. You guys are impressive. A lot of hard work, and it was nice to see adults disagree but get things done in a mature way. So thank you very much. Before I talk to you about our EI program, I want to tell you that today is the first day that we open our DSN program for the community. We've had about 18 individuals from the community come into the day program. All of them have been tested. We're in regular contact with family members about being tested and make sure they get vaccine before they come. All of our homes, we have 11 homes, as you know, all the consumers in our home, except for 2, have been tested and have had their first vaccination. And by the end of the month, we're hoping to have all the individuals in our homes tested. Cherie is going to talk to you a little bit about our early intervention program, but I also want to tell you that we just recently got the results of an audit from the federal and state government, and we scored a 97.1, and that's pretty impressive. And I want to compliment the staff for all the work that they've done too. I think I'm particularly impressed with our early intervention program and what Cherie does, because their program deals with individuals from babies from birth to 7. And this is the first time when you think about families allowing people to come into their home and take care of their babies and work with their babies. That's pretty impressive. So I'm going to go ahead and let Cherie continue and talk about the program in more detail. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Bill. Thank you, and Mr. Atkinson and Council for allowing me the opportunity to share with our program. I'm going to share my screen, if that's okay. And just, is everybody able to see my screen? Okay, perfect. So we help children and families through early intervention. Services we deliver to Northern and Southern Beaufort County. We assist with families that are English speaking and Spanish speaking families. We have early interventionists. We have 9 of those that work with me across the county. And what we do is we provide service coordination and family training. So what that means is we will work with the families and we schedule to do a plan, and then we conduct an assessment on the child to see where their developmental age is and what it is that they may need assistance with. We also help families with finding resources within the community and making sure that they're able to self-advocate for their children with their doctors and with the school systems. We make referrals for any therapies. In addition to that, we also monitor all of those therapies. So if we have a child that may need assistance with speech, occupational therapy, physical therapy, we would authorize those services. find somebody within the community to come and work with those families. We do have to do it in a natural environment. So we don't have those families go into clinical settings. We actually have those therapists and our early interventionists go into the homes. We can also do things such as in a daycare or parks or other things, but it does need to be in a natural environment. We will work with our 0 to 3 population. And in the event that when they're 3, there's no more developmental milestones that are not meeting, then we would discharge that child. If there continues to be areas of concern, then we would continue to provide services for them, as Bill said, all the way up through their 6th grade and oftentimes when they're moving into the school systems. So we will work with schools to transition those children into this special education preschool programs. The other main entity that we provide is called family training, and those are hands-on teaching for parents, caregivers, and their children as far as their developmental skills. And we provide that. We go into the homes once a week for an hour, and we work with the individuals to whatever it is that we've assessed. So a young child, if we could be working on sitting up, all the way up to older children where we could be working on language skills and things like that. Children that are eligible for our services have developmental delays, and some of the diagnoses that we run across are premature birth, autism, Down syndrome. We work with some children that have had fetal alcohol syndrome, cerebral palsy, genetic disorders, language delays, and motor delays. In the event, we also can authorize for children to get genetic testing. So if the family feels that that's an area that they would like to evaluate more, then we're capable of assisting with those. Our services, our early interventionists are completing the service notes in what we call a bridges system or a therapy system. And those services are billed directly to Medicaid in the event that the child is 0 to 3 and billed directly to South Carolina Department of Disabilities and Special Needs from 3 until 6. Right now, we are presently serving 171 children in this program. I will say that last month we had 21 referrals. So typically, as you can see, we have some children that age out and then we get new referrals, and that's consistent. When COVID happened, we did see some of the referrals decline, but as we've seen the vaccines and those kind of things, our numbers are drastically increasing. Some of the areas that we really try to target, because we feel that early intervention is so important, many children will go into school and unfortunately they will have not been diagnosed. So we work on health and development, early learners, transitioning, preschool, and then also making sure that the families understand their rights for those. The CDC reports that 1 in 6 children have 1 or more developmental disabilities. And what we have found statistically is if we work on those things at an early age, then they're able to get into school and not need as much assistance once they start kindergarten. This is a project that I'm really proud of. Last year, we applied for a grant through our ABLE Foundation, and Women in Philanthropy donated $5,000 in 2020. And then in 2021, they donated an additional $5,000. And what this is a Learn as I Grow project. And what we really try to make sure that we focus on is not just the child, but the family and the entire support system. So here you'll see a few of our little kiddos. We created backpacks, and with that, they're all labeled with our Bright Beginnings logo on them. And depending on the child's age, it was what we put into the backpacks. So for a young child, many of you are familiar with the things that they put in the crib, will they look at themselves in the mirror and making eye contact? So we utilized that. We also made sure that we had parenting books in there for the parents, all the way up to the 6-year-olds got puzzles and books and blocks and all of those kind of things. We were able to provide resource kits for those children. We have so far passed out over 100, and we anticipate passing out another 100 over the next few months. We'd like to thank you for all of your support. We really do value those children that are most vulnerable in our community. And without Beaufort County, it would be a difficult time to be able to provide services to all of those children. So with that, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you, and thank you for that presentation. The work that you're doing is vital and important for the members of this community, and we all certainly appreciate everything that you're doing. I'd like to really congratulate all of the people at DSN for the creative and imaginative programs that they run for the county and the way those programs are delivered. I think that you're working oftentimes quietly and in anonymity and in the background, and that you consistently provide such a necessary and vital service for the community. And I think a lot of people just aren't aware of it. I'm happy to see that the Women in Philanthropy have made those donations to you. It's a very strong organization of women who have organized throughout the county, who have regular meetings to decide where they're going to send the funds that they collect, and I'm happy to see that you've received those. Does anyone have any observations, comments, or statements with regard to, or questions with regard to the presentation?
Mr. Chairman, I'll yield to Ms. Howard.
Oh, I just wanted to tell Ms. Sherry, thank you for everything they do, and she said they had 21 referrals, I think, in the last year. Is that low or is that high? Or do you think the COVID had any impact on those numbers?
Referrals is actually what we got last month, so that was in March. And traditionally, we are finding that we get anywhere from 12 to 15 referrals a month. We did have some lag time when COVID first started, and I think that's because a number of our referrals come from the medical providers, and a number of our little ones were not going in and having their regular checkups. But since January, we have seen tremendous increase and an influx in referrals, and so we're very thankful for that.
Mr. Glover, do you have a question?
No, not a question. Just a comment. Nice presentation. Appreciated the information that was gathered. I'm just going to make a comment about one of your slide presentation where you may have done it for a reason, but there was a slide that talked about your effort south of the Broad, north of the Broad, North and South Beaufort County. And I do understand that there is sometimes a great distinction north and south of the Broad, but unless there's a reason for doing it, I really would love just to say Beaufort County, and because we are one county, even though we differ in our culture and et cetera, we are just one county. That's the only comment I want to make. Thanks.
Noted.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Thanks, Bill, once again, and thanks to all of the people who are there working with you. We really do understand and appreciate the hard work that's done every day for all of the people that you provide service to. So thanks very much.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. The next item is a discussion to provide the status of the distance learning grants. I asked Mr. Atkinson just to give us a brief update on the second stage of the program that we have in place to provide funding for groups that are engaged in the distance learning program as a result of the COVID-19 problem. Mr. Atkinson?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I spoke with the CCF staff last Thursday, met with them. The Coastal Community Foundation has received a total of 8 grant applications. That's total. 5 of those applications, the grant process has been completed, and the foundation will be providing a report later this week that will give us the names of the recipients to date and the amounts that they have been awarded and other details about their organization. And in addition, the foundation continues to—
Can hear you, Chuck.
I'm not on mute. Can anybody
Video.
hear me?
I can hear you fine, Chuck. What do you think, Gerald? You can't hear him or see him? Gerald, are you having trouble hearing Mr. Atkinson, Gerald?
It appears he can't hear any of us.
I don't think he can hear me either, so.
Okay, my apologies.
Sarah, would you give him a call and just tell him that he seems to be having a problem and no one else is having? Thanks. Go ahead, Chuck.
Okay, and in addition, the foundation continues to actively market the program via its nonprofit network, Facebook, Instagram, and the foundation's website. So that concludes my report, sir.
I have a quick question. Are there only 8 applications, or is that the second phase has 8 applications?
8 applications total.
Okay, and they'll be reaching a conclusion on who's going to be receiving aid in that 8, or are all 8 going to get something?
I'm not sure. I know that 5 of them, the process has been completed, and they're going to give us a report on those 5. I think 3 of them came later than the first 5, so I think they're still working through those 3. But I know 5 of them have been completed, and I look forward to that report.
Okay, so perhaps at some point in the future, we'll be able to get an idea of not only who they are, but the amounts of the grants, so we can deal with what that total is based upon, so we have some kind of an idea how that is bouncing off the total amount that we've put aside for this.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thanks. Anyone else have comments or questions, observations about this program? Okay, seeing none. Thank you very much, Chuck. I'll move on to item number 10, which is a resolution to commission an Animal Services Officer. Colonel Foote.
Yes, sir. Thank you again. This is a resolution in order to commission one of our new animal service officers that we've hired. This needs to be approved by committee and then passed on to full county council for their approval on the resolution to commission him. I believe he's on the line. Aaron, are you on there?
Yeah, we're right here. Do you see him? Don't look.
Wanted to introduce
Hi,
Aaron.
Tallulah. Does he have any words of wisdom for us on this new assignment?
Make sure I do what Phil and Tallulah says.
Well, there's a person who's going to be very wise, Phil, very wise.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you for that.
If there's nothing else, Phil, I'll just entertain a motion to move this, create this resolution and move it along to council. May I have that motion?
So moved.
Thank you. And a second?
I'll second.
Thank you very much. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'd like to move this along for approval without exception. Is there anyone who has an exception to moving this along? Hearing none, we will move it along to full council. Thank you very much, Mr. Foote, and congratulations thus far to the new animal service officer who so far is passing muster. So you're halfway there, I think, right, Phil? Okay, thanks. The next item is a resolution accepting a donation of playground equipment from the Daufuskie Island Council and authorizing the county administrator to execute documents associated with the acceptance of this donation. And it's not a very involved situation, it's just one involving liability. Mr. Atkinson, could you give us a summary on that?
Yes, sir. The actual resolution is in the backup materials. In an effort to increase the quality of life on for Daufuskie Island residents and visitors, the Daufuskie Island Council has purchased and is donating playground equipment that will be installed at the Francis Jones Community Park on Daufuskie Island. The value of the playground equipment is right at $50,000. They raised $20,000 from a state grant. It's a South Carolina Department of Parks, Recreation, and Tourism grant that was sponsored by Representative Jeff Bradley. The remaining funds and donations were from community fundraising efforts, which included a Hague Point Foundation $5,000 match that they successfully collected. If this passes today, we will move it to council on the 12th, and then through administration, we'll take ownership of the playground.
Thank you. That's very well described. May I have a motion to create this resolution and pass it along to council for council's consideration?
So moved. This is Mark. And I will second that.
Okay, I'll have a first and a second. Sarah, did you get those names? Okay. Is there any further discussion on this matter? Hearing none, I would like to approve this without exception. Does anyone take exception to moving this along to council for their full consideration? Hearing none, this matter is approved and will be moved to full council for their consideration. Thank you very much, Mr. Atkinson. The next item is back to item number 7. Colonel Foote, are we ready?
Yes, sir. And I'm sorry for the technical difficulties there. And I don't want to take anything away from this great video that we have from EMS. So,
okay, thanks.
Started.
Ambulances. The Type 1 ambulances are usually used for ambulances that carry advanced life support equipment. We have a design on the back, it's called a chevron design, and what it does is it increases visibility for other drivers. We do have forward, rear, and side-facing cameras. So you have a 360-degree view from the inside of the ambulance to what is around the ambulance. The oxygen cylinder is used when we have to give medical patients oxygen that they need to help with their respirations. So we need to have a large amount of oxygen because, as you know, we have a distance to the various hospitals, so we don't want to have to change the tanks every time. So we have larger than normal tanks. With the oxygen lift, it's an automatic lift that will raise the tank up, so it kind of saves our people from the possibility of a back injury from lifting such a heavy object. We have a child safety seat that's built into our captain's chair. We have harnesses as opposed to just regular seat belts. We now have harnesses that go over the arms for each of the providers on all 3 seats. We have a squad bench, and traditionally we had a long bench where providers sat. Now we've gone to it's a bucket seat that has a harness. That's both for the safety of the providers and the safety of the patient that's in the ambulance. So our providers are harnessed in but can still swivel around and move and still do good patient care. We have interior shelves that are adjustable, and then we've got ergonomically angled cabinets. The Stryker Power Load Stretcher is capable of holding a patient up to 700 pounds. It has various holders for equipment. It can hold a cardiac monitor, it can hold an oxygen tank, and it can hold IV equipment with an IV pole. It also has wheel locks, and it has a harness restraint system for the patient, so if there were to be any issues with the patient moving around, they are harnessed in just like with our seat belts.
What I would like to do today is give you some information on some of the medical equipment that we use. The first thing I'd like to speak about is called our hand-heavy system, and I'd like to give you a little bit of information on how the hand-heavy system came about. So Dr. Antevy put together a system which essentially what it does is it pre-selects the equipment and the medications that you'll need for your pediatrics. When we're talking about pediatrics, we're talking about a very wide range of medical patients. It can be from birth all the way to 21 years old. So just a little bit about what we're looking at there. Can be the exact same piece of equipment, like this one I have in my hand. With your pediatric patients, it can range from this size to this size. So you can see there's a good range in that. Same thing with a piece of equipment that you use for their airway. It can be as small as this with a pediatric or as large as this with a pediatric. And what makes his system really unique is he designs it specifically for your agency. So Beaufort County EMS has a system designed for Beaufort County EMS. We're not trying to make something fit from another system. So he put together this kit, and when he originally started with it, we started with a book. And this book took all of our medications. It took the appropriate age, weight base, vital signs. All of it was selected and put together. So essentially, if you were responding to a 1-year-old, you had everything there for your 1-year-old. Then he took it up a notch, and he did it to an app. So now what we have is on our phones, we have an app. You tap that app, it opens up, you select the age of your patient and everything you need from the correct vital signs, medication doses, equipment sizes, everything to ensure safety and accuracy. So once you get to the call, you go ahead and you open up your hand-heavy bag. And in your hand-heavy bag, you have areas where there's pretty much generic equipment that fits all different size pediatrics. And then, as you can see here, it's gone down to the ages of specific pediatrics from 1 to 13 years old. When you arrive on the scene, you'll know the age of your patient, and we're going to say 5 years old. So you take out the pouch for the 5-year-old. Now, I want to say something here, because this does not replace your clinician. Your clinician has to be highly skilled, highly educated, and they have to practice. They have to practice and they have to train, because this does not replace that. This is an adjunct to all of your training and all of your education. So once you open up your 5-year-old, and that's what we're assuming we're going to have here today, you have all of your equipment like your IV for IV access, the correct size for that age and that size child. You have your airway for your intubation, all of that is pre-selected. So in these stressful pediatric situations, you don't have to try to figure this at 3 o'clock in the morning. You'll have it already there for you. So having a system like the hand-heavy system, not only does it help us improve the level of care that we provide, it also helps to ensure the safety and make sure that we deliver everything as accurate as we can. The next piece of medical equipment I'd like to talk about is the air track. And what the air track is, it is a video laryngoscope for use when we're doing intubations. Intubations is something that you typically think about occurring in the hospital before surgery, maybe in the emergency room, but your EMS clinicians are also at times have to intubate. So prior to this, we did not have the video laryngoscopes. Once the video laryngoscopes came to where we could get them, they're an excellent use in the field. The reason being is you're able to video the intubation as you're doing it. So you're able to video and document that you successfully placed the tube, and you also have a record of it that can be attached to the patient's medical chart in case it's needed later on. It's a camera, and what you have are different size blades that go with it. This goes from your pediatrics to your adults. When you take your blade out, the first thing you want to do is you want to turn it on so the light comes on the bottom. And if you'll notice, these also have an eyepiece on them, and that's just in case there was a failure with the camera. For whatever reason, you'd have your eyepiece, you could go right ahead and complete your intubation. So you go ahead and you load your tube in your chamber, and instead of using the camera to visualize your landmarks, you will be using the eyepiece to do that. So you'll get to see your same landmarks, you get to see your vocal cords so you can pass the tube. You're just using the eyepiece to do that with. Turn on the blade so you have that warming up there. And as soon as you attach your camera, it's going to begin to record. It has a 5-minute limitation on it, which we can bump up if we needed to, but for the next 5 minutes, it'll be recording. So when you go to intubate your patient, and of course, you've got to have, your patient pre-oxygenated, pre-ventilated, but for today's purpose, I'm just going to show you how it works. So what you'll do is you'll have to lube up this chamber here, and you slide your ET tube in there, making sure you don't go beyond the end there. And when you go into your patient, now you can see everything that you need to pass this tube and those cords. And not only can you see that, it's recording it until I tell it to stop recording. The Lucas is actually a mechanical device, and what it does is it provides compressions during CPR. Anytime you're providing manual compressions during CPR, it only takes about 2 minutes before the rescuer begins to become fatigued. Because of it, not being like the human being and tiring, it can continue to provide those compressions at the rate and depth that you need. It can continue whether you're bringing a patient down a set of stairs, whether you're coming down a narrow hallway. With the Lucas, once you apply it, there's no reason to stop, unless of course you have return of spontaneous circulation. Anytime that the hands come off the chest during CPR, for every 10 seconds that you're not doing compressions, you have a 50% drop in the chance of return of spontaneous circulation. The suction cup actually serves several different purposes. It seats on the chest where you want the compressions to be delivered, and it also pulls the chest back up. And what this does is it allows for full recoil. And with that full recoil, you get the complete filling of the heart, so that you're able to maintain that cycle of filling and release with the heart. Our director, Donna Owenby, she worked tirelessly. She understood that there would be a real asset for our community. She went and spoke with a lot of people. She worked very hard during budget time to make sure that we could get this equipment that we needed. The citizens of Beaufort County have always been very supportive of EMS, and EMS personnel is very dedicated, to our citizens and our community, and we would like to thank the taxpayers and our citizens for supporting us.
Okay, well, that certainly was informative and interesting. A lot of things there that I didn't realize were in your arsenal, Colonel. Do you have any further comments?
Yeah, at this time, I'd like to allow Donna Owenby, our director, to just have a few minutes to speak on some items.
Okay, hi Donna, take it away.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. That was take 2 on the video, but I'm glad we got it through. That was a lot of just a piece of equipment that we have. I picked select ones I thought you might find interesting that the taxpayers have paid for and you have approved. Just for facts, we have 11 frontline units. We have 5 QRVs, which are quick response vehicles, and we're working on a 12-hour truck. We're starting one now in Bluffton, and we don't have it up every day, but we're working on it to have it up 7 days a week. And eventually I'd like to have it on this side also. We ran 16,500 calls in 2020 with approximately 325 calls a week, which is a lot of calls. COVID has definitely changed the way we do our job. We had to change from sometimes having to take a little response of taking and donning and doffing PPE so that our staff would be safe when they're transporting COVID positive patients. It was also more costly to have all the PPE that we would normally never would have had to use, but we did now. So we did a lot of research and getting grants for some of that stuff, and was donated, and some we had to personally buy out of our budget too. We did increase our overtime, but we want to make sure the citizens of Beaufort County were safe, because that's our number one goal, is to make sure everybody is taken care of. We are starting a program we're working on right now, which is going to be, it's going to recognize and try to prevent the patient as an overdose patient in our community. And this will involve multiple agencies with long-term support. I think this will be a good thing, and as we get it up and running, we'll probably like to come back before council and explain everything that we're doing with that. Your staff, as Karen was saying, you have some of the best paramedics and EMTs in the state as far as I'm concerned. They work very hard, very tirelessly, don't complain about all the hours they've had to put in. It's a difficult job, and what I try and tell our people is, where else can you go to work and make a difference in somebody's life that you don't even know? I think that's quite an accomplishment for most people to say that they can do that. I'd be glad to take any questions on anything you saw in the video or anything else I can answer for you.
Okay, thanks. Comments, questions, observations for Colonel Foote or for Donna?
Yes, Donna and Colonel Foote, this is Councilman Gerald Dawson. Look, I just want to thank you all and all the EMS personnel for the hard work that they do. I realize that we have a lot of advanced technology that the personnel are working with right now, but it's all for the good of saving lives in the communities throughout Beaufort. And most people don't know that our personnel works tirelessly shift rotations. And sometimes they go from a relaxed mode into an emergency situations, and doing that repetitively becomes stressful sometimes. And so I just want to show my appreciation for all the hard work that Donna and all the EMS personnel do. Congratulations, you do a swell job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Could I chime in as well, please? I just want to say thanks for everything you guys have done over the course of, the entire pandemic. One question I did have for you guys is, how are you all looking on staffing? Are we where we need to be? Are we looking for more? Are you guys looking to add? Is there anything on Beaufort County that we can do for you on council to make sure that you guys can continue to do that job top notch?
Well, there's actually a statewide shortage of paramedics in all South Carolina. We're not the only system, and actually across the nation, there is a shortage of paramedics. We are working, and we work with HR and Phil, and we come up with many ideas we can to bring staff on. It's a different, sometimes mindset, I'd say, in the younger generation. I've been here a very long time. I started in 1982, then I got my nursing degree in 1993. So I thought, well, I can't do this forever. And actually, I loved EMS so much, I actually only do EMS right now, and I stopped doing nursing when I got in 2009 when I became the director. This job is very, very difficult for people sometimes because you see so much and you do so much, and you can only try to make it as attractive. And we're competing with a lot of other counties. You got to figure Beaufort County is like at the end, where I'm not surrounded by other counties like Charleston and Dorchester and Orangeburg, some of my peers. So we have to try and make this a little more attractive. And even though we may pay the same or something, you have to bring something on it that makes them want to say, I want to live in Beaufort County, as opposed to working someplace else. So, but we are working on as many different ideas. We're doing different, like Indeed and some of the other places that we can actually put out applications from. And we're open to, I just partnered up with the school over there at ACE, and we did a demonstration for the kids that are in high school that are taking the EMT class. And I'm going to let them come over here, and even though it's pandemic, we'll make sure everybody's safe and let them see the equipment and maybe excite them about becoming an EMT, because this is where you have to start reaching younger and younger, actually, in the schools to actually pull people into this type of job. Now everybody wants to go to college. So this is a good job, and it has so much reward, and that's what we want them to see, the reward that you get from, like I said in the beginning, you make a difference in somebody's life that you didn't even know, or a family's life. It makes you feel really good about what you do. So hope that answered for you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I would like to invite all council to come to see our new Shanklin's EMS station that you built for us. It's absolutely beautiful. We really appreciate it. It's in the 40-some years that I've known of EMS, this is the very first EMS standalone station, and they're so excited and happy to have that. So please drop by anytime you like and come and see our station.
Chairman McKellen, I believe you're on mute.
Well, let me just chime in real quick. Thanks for the invitation. Sorry I missed the grand opening.
Welcome anytime.
Okay, Chairman McKellen, that was our.
Sorry, yeah, sorry, Phil. I lost my whole screen there for about 5 minutes, but I think it's back now. So you can hear me okay?
I can hear you.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much for that. you certainly have a talented and a dedicated staff, and we're really very lucky to have such skilled employees in that department. I find these briefings by the departments to be very helpful, as I do when Eric Greenaway introduces employees to us at our council meetings. I find those presentations and introductions to be extremely helpful so we can get a clear understanding of the kind of contributions everybody's making to the county on a daily basis. So thanks for arranging this, Phil. I really appreciate it. And thank you, Donna, for the presentation and for that video. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you for allowing us to come forward.
Well, you're welcome, Phil. Okay, let me move on to item number 12, which is a recommendation to the governor's office for the reappointment of Pamela Brandon Hennig to the Disabilities and Special Needs Board. This is a second term for District 3, which expires in 2025. First term was over in 2017. May I have a motion to move this forward to the full council for moving this forward to the governor?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Second.
Thank you very much. I will move this forward unless there are some exceptions. Anyone have exception? Hearing none, then this will move forward to full council for a recommendation to the governor's office for the reappointment. Thank you very much. Sarah, do we have any citizen comments?
No, sir, we didn't receive any for this committee.
Okay, well, before I adjourn, let me say thanks to the members of the committee, Logan Cunningham, the vice chair, Gerald Dawson, York Glover, and Alice Howard, who are committee members who are in attendance, and to all of the rest of you who have shown enough interest to participate fully in this event today. Thank you all very much. Does anyone have any closing comments, observations?
I'd just like to say thank you to all these agencies that we heard from today that serve the public and don't get a lot of thanks sometimes but they certainly have our thanks.
Yeah, they do, and that's why I said I think these presentations we get are really very important, not only for us to hear, but for people who are watching in the community on television, for them to hear about the good work that everyone is doing in the professional way that they do it. So thanks to all of them. Okay,
Mr. Chairman, before you close, just want to note that the recommendation we just made to continue Pam, I call her Lady Pam, on the DSN board is an excellent one, in that Pam is actually a amputee in a wheelchair, so she's truly a disabled person serving and willing to serve, and she does have a sharp mind, and she's been an asset to that DSN board. So thank you. Just want to make that notation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Glover. I appreciate those observations. Anything further from anyone? Okay, hearing nothing, then this meeting stands adjourned. Thank you all very much for your participation today.
Miss Sarah, what time do you want us to start back with Natural Resource Committee?